Okay, students, a very good afternoon to you. Are you able to hear my voice?
Yes,
A few questions from you, then we continue because we have to finish up the chapter and also discuss the questions today. Okay, the first question is we left at this point when Mr. Lamb says, what kind of a world would that be? What world is Mr. Lamb referring to, and why does he disapprove of that world? When he says, what kind of a world would that be? Which world is he talking about here? Raise your hands. Again, I have only one student, Malvika. What about the others? What kind of a world would that be? Yes, we have it here. What kind of a world would that be? Malvika, respond.
I am audible.
Yes, you are on.
Ma'am, the Mr. Lamb talks about the world in which all the deaf or the blind people or the disabled people are living together. All the idiots boys are living with the idiot boys, and the blind people are living with the blind people. And he says this word. He Derry is in favor of this world because he thinks that in such type of world the people will not stare anyone, or they will not think them different. But Mr. Lamp is not in favor of such a world because it is not possible, and the differences should be present everywhere, and due to these differences only the people can become unique in their own way.
Yes, very good. So he strongly disapproves of this kind of a world, and he feels that if handicapped people are made to live separately, then it is not going to help them in any way. On the other hand, it would make their lives more miserable. They should be accepted in the and they should be incorporated into the mainstream only. This is what he means to say. And each and everybody is unique, and the differences of appearance. Are there and differences of characteristics are there, and but it is because of this only that we have a universality of all the living beings on the earth. Okay, so we'll continue from where we left. Do we have our participants who will do the role play present today? Do we have Rhythm and Alam?
No, ma'am.
They're not here, so we'll choose somebody else. I need volunteers who would like to take part in role play. You can, yes, Pavandeep, and one more. You can just raise your hands. In the meantime, I'll do the explanation part because I think they've read more lines, more dialogues, but I had not explained them. So let me just explain and then we'll shift on to role play. Okay, then we'll have Malvika and Pavandeep speaking up. Okay, so he says, what kind of a world? Let me just try and enable my video. If it would create, because see the BSNL is having problem today, there is a net issue, and if it lags, then I'll just turn off my video also. Let me just see. Okay, he says, what kind of a world would that be? I explained till this line. Um, at least there would be nobody to stare at you because you weren't like them. So you think you are just the same as all the other people with burnt faces just by what you look like? Ah, everything's different, everything's the same. Underline this, this is very important. What does he mean by this? Everything's different, everything's the same, but everything is different itself. Just by the way you look, he means to say, you think if there are other people with burnt faces and they look alike, does it mean they are same? What does he mean by this? Everything's different, everything's the same, but everything is different itself. Raise your hands. What does Mr. Lamb mean by this? Follow? When he says everything is the same but everything is different itself. We just talked about it. We just talked about universality of human beings. We talked about people being unique. अभी तो हमने इस बारे में बात की है बच्चे. Malvika has already given the answer. Alam. Alam.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, this means that even if we are same as human beings, we as people are different from each other, as we have our own unique personality, and that's not same with others. It makes us unique from others, and even if two people are same just because of some physical disability does not mean that they would be same in a perspective also. They could have very
Yes,
different perspective in life. That's
yes.
what makes everyone
Everybody
same.
unique, and that is why he says everything's the same, but everything is different itself. Very good, Alan. Okay, so he says, how do you make all that out? And how do you have such kind of things coming into your mind? How do you make all that out? This is the question of Derry. And he says, by watching, listening, and thinking. And Derry says, I would like a place like this, a garden. I would like a house with no curtains. So he's very much interested in the kind of place he is there right now, and he wants to have a garden like that. He wants to have a home with no curtains. And Mr. Lamb says, you're always welcome because the gate is always open. But this isn't mine. And Mr. Lamb replies, everything's yours if you want it. What's mine is anybody's. Okay. So I could come here again, even if you were out, I could come here. Certainly, you might find others here, of course. He says, yes, you can come in anytime, you're most welcome. And when you come in the next time, maybe you would find others also here. And Derry doesn't like this. He feels sad, and he says, oh, well, that need not stop you. You need not mind. He says you should not be bothered about the presence of others. That should not stop you from coming into my garden. It would stop them. He says it would not stop me, but it is definitely going to stop them. They are going to mind me. Even if I don't mind the presence of people, people get afraid of me the moment they have a look at me. So they would mind me. When they saw me here, when they would look at my face, what are they going to do? They are just going to run away from here. Okay. Mr. Lamb says they might not. You would have to take the risk. So would they. So they might run away, they might not run away. You would have to take the risk for once, and they also would have to take that risk. Then he says, no, I would not be at risk. I wouldn't have to take the risk. You would have to take the risk. Why? Because if I come here, then you might have me, and you might lose all your other friends because nobody wants to stay near me if they can help it. Okay, as long as it is in their hands, nobody wants to stay near me. He says, I am here, I have not moved. No. When I go down the street, the kids shout, lay me lamb. But they still come into the garden, into my house. It's a game. They're not afraid of me. Why should they be? Because I'm not afraid of them. That's why not. Nobody is afraid of me if I go out, and kids, even though they call me lay me lamb, but still they're around me. They never run away from me. They don't get afraid of me. Did you get your leg blown off in the war? Certainly. How will you climb on a ladder and get the crab apples down then? Oh, there's a lot of things I have learned to do and plenty of time for it. Years. I take it steady. So he says, I've learned a lot of things over the years and I'm taking everything very gradually. Gradually, I'm learning and I'm trying to adapt to my new condition. My leg was blown off quite some time back, and now over the years, I have learned a lot of things like climbing on a ladder also. If you fell, underline this dialogue by Derry. If you fell and broke your neck, you could lie on the grass and die if you were on your own. He wants to say that if you're left on your own, and because you have such a physical disability, you might fall from the ladder, you might break your neck, and you could die just lying on the grass. I could. You said I could help you. So Derry says, I wish to help you. Okay, so we'll continue with the role play now. You said I could help you. Yes, continue. If we have rhythm, if we don't have her, then Alam and Malvika can do for the time being. Alam and Malvika. Alam,
Okay,
you be Delhi, and Malvika would
okay,
be
ma'am.
Mr. Lam. Yes, yes, Malvika.
You you said I could help you,
If you want to.
but my mother will want to know where I am. It's 3 miles home, across the fields. I'm 14, but they still want to know where I am.
People worry.
People fuss.
Go back and tell them.
It's 3 miles.
It's fine. It's a fine evening. You have got legs.
Once I got home, they would never let me come back.
Once you go home, you did never let yourself come back.
You don't know what I could do.
No, only you know that.
If I choose,
If you choose, I don't know everything, boy. I can't tell you what to do.
they tell me.
Do you have to agree?
I don't know what I want. I
Okay,
want
okay, okay. Just a
something.
minute, just a minute. Let me do the explanation of this page, and then we'll continue. Okay, let me do the explanation part. Mr. Lamb says, "Fine, if you want to." Okay, this is the line. If you want to, yes, if you want to. But my mother, when he says, "If you want to," you can help me in just picking up the crab apples. But my mother will want to know where I am. It's 3 miles home across the fields. I am 14, but they still want to know where I am. Even though Derry considers himself to be quite grown up, he says my parents are concerned about me and they still want to know where I am. And my home is 3 miles from here. And Mr. Lime says people worry, and Derry's reaction to is that he doesn't feel that people worry, he feels that they fuss, that people are very fussy. Okay, so he says, Mr. Lamb says, go back and tell them then. It is 3 miles. It's a fine evening, you've got legs. You can run and you can just come back if you want to, and it's a fine evening today. Once I got home, they would never let me come back. Who would never let me come back? What does he mean when he says they would never let me come back?
I mean, his mother.
His mother, his parents, they're not going to let me come back. He says, but Mr. Lamb disagrees with him and he says, once you got home, you would never let yourself come back. You're not going to come back on your own. It is nothing to do with your parents, it is nothing to do with your relatives, but it is up to you. And I think you won't come back yourself. You don't know what I could do. No, only you know that. Yes, he says, I agree with you. Only you know what you would be doing and what you could do. If I chose, if you chose, I don't know everything, boy. I can't tell you. He says, I'm not aware of each and everything, so I cannot tell you what to do. Okay, and they tell me, do you have to agree? I don't know what I want. I want something no one else has got or ever will have. Something just mine. So he's very much interested in the kind of place where Mr. Lamb is saying. He says, I want something like this garden. Something like, I want a home like this where there are no curtains and all. Yes, continue. Continue with the role play. Continue, Anam and
I don't know what I want. I want something no one else has got or ever will. Something just mine. Like this garden. I don't know what it is.
You could find out.
How?
Waiting, watching, listening, sitting here or going there. I will have to see to the bees.
Those other people who come here, do they talk to you? Ask you things?
Some don't. I ask them. I like to learn.
I don't believe. I don't think anybody ever comes. You are here all by yourself and miserable, and no one would know if you were alive or dead, and nobody cares.
You think what you please.
All right then, tell me some of their names.
What names? Tom, Dick, or Harry? Getting up, I am off down to the bees.
I think you are daft crazy.
That's good excuse.
What for? You don't talk sense.
Good excuse not to come back, and you have got a burned up face, and that's other people's excuse.
You are like the others. You like to say things that like that. If you don't feel sorry for my face, you are frightened of it. And if you are not frightened, you think I'm ugly as a devil. I am a devil, don't you?
Shouts
No,
Mr.
you don't. I like it here. I'm going. I will come back. You see, you wait. I can run. I haven't got it in lag. I will be back.
There's my bees. That's you see too. You know, we all know. I will come back. They never do, though. Not them. Never do come back.
Okay, hold on. So he says, I don't know what I want. I want something like this garden, something unique, something different. I like it here, and I want to possess this. Okay, you could, and I don't know something. I want something no one else has, no one else has got, or no one else ever will have. So he says, you can find out what you want, and he says, how am I going to find out? You can find out by waiting, by watching, by listening, by just sitting here or just going there. I'll have to right now. What I supposed to do? I'll have to go and see to my bees. This is what Mr. Lamb says. You can wait, you can watch, you can listen to things, but right now I'm going to go and see to my bees. Those are the people who come here. Do they talk to you? Ask you things? Some do, some don't. I ask them. I like to learn. Says, like I told you, I like putting up questions. It is up to the people to respond or not. Just like I told you, I would be asking questions from you, but it is up to you to reply or not. I don't believe in them. I don't think anybody ever comes. Underline this. You are here all by yourself and miserable, and no one would know if you were alive or dead, and nobody cares. So he says, I don't believe you. I don't think anybody ever comes in here. I think you are also very lonely. You live here alone and you are miserable, and nobody is ever interested to know whether you are alive or dead, and nobody cares about you. You think what you please. All right, then tell me some of the names. Okay, I would believe you if you can just tell me the names of some of your acquaintances, some of your friends who come in here regularly. He says, what are names? Tom, what's there in a name? There are n number of people dropping in here into my garden every day, and they might have any name. Then he just gets up and he says, I'm off down to the beach. I think you are deaf. He says, I think you're insane. I think you're crazy. That's a very good excuse, Mr. Lamb says. You're full of excuses, and you can give n number of excuses if you want to. He says, what for? Why should I make excuses? You're not talking sense. And Mr. Lamb says, a good excuse not to come back. Now you're giving me a very good excuse because you don't want to come back here. That is why you're just making up excuses. And you've got a burned up face. And then you'll come back to your face, and then that would be other people's excuse not to come here. That is what you think. You are like others. You like to say things like that. If you don't feel sorry for my face, then you're frightened of it. This is if you don't pity me because of my scarred face, because of my burnt face, then you are also afraid of it, just like the rest of the people. And if you're not frightened, then you think I'm ugly as a devil. I am a devil. Don't you? He shouts at him because he gets very angry. He says, you also think like other people. You think I'm ugly as a devil. But Mr. Lamb doesn't reply. He's already gone to his knees. And then quietly he realizes that he shouldn't have shouted, and quietly he realizes that he likes the place, and he has developed a kind of an affinity for Mr. Lamb also. So therefore he realizes and he says, no, you don't. I like it here. And then Derry gets up and he shouts. He says, okay, I'm going, but I'm going to come back. You see, you wait. I can run. I've got a tin. I don't have a tin leg, so I'll run away from here and I'll come back fast. I will be back. And he just runs off, and there's silence. The sounds of the garden again. Continue. There, my dears, he says, okay, Mr. Lamb says, there, my dears, he's there with his bees. That's you see too. You know, we all know, I'll come back. Underline this, very important lines. They never do. He says, people always say that they would come back to me, but nobody ever comes back. Not them. Never do come back, and the garden noises fade. So we have scene 2 now. And scene 2, the first scene was in was in Mr. Lamb's garden. Now the second scene is in Derry's house. Okay. So So there's conversation between mother and Derry. So Malvika, you can be the mother, and Derry would remain the same. Yes. Yes, Malvika.
Think I don't know. You think I don't know about him. You think I haven't heard things.
You shouldn't believe all you hear.
Been told, warned. We have not lived here 3 months, but I know what there is to know, and you are not to go back there.
What are you afraid of? What do you think he is? An old man with a tin leg, and he lives in a huge house without curtains and has a garden. And I want to be there and sit and listen to things. Listen and look.
Listen to what?
Bees singing, him talking.
And what's he got to say to you?
Things that matter. Things nobody else has ever said. Things I want to think about.
Then you stay here and do your thinking. You are better off here.
I hate it here.
You can't help the things you say. I forgive you. It's born to make you feel bad things and say them. I don't blame you.
It's got nothing to do with my face and what I look like. I don't care about that, and it isn't important. It's what I think and feel and what I want to see and find out and hear. I'm going back there only to help him with the crab apples, only look at things and listen. But I'm going.
You will stop here.
Oh no, oh no. Because if I don't go back there, I will never go anywhere in this world again. The door slums, Derry runs, panting. And I want the world, and I want it, and I
Oh,
want it.
okay. Hold on, hold on. So the second scene is at Derry's house, and there's a conversation between Derry and his mother. And his mother says, "You think I don't know about him? You think I haven't heard things?" Well, they've been into that house only for the last 3 months, and in these 3 months, she has heard a lot of things about whom? About Mr. Lamb. And she says, "You're not to go. You are not to go back there." Who had said this line? You shouldn't believe all you hear. Who had said this line earlier and to whom?
Derry to her mom.
No, earlier I said who had said, who had used.
Ma'am, Mr. Lamb to Derry.
Yes,
Mr.
very
Lamb
good.
to
Mr.
Derry.
Lamb. So this is the impact. This is the transformation which is coming into Delhi because of Mr. Lamb. And he says this is the first time in his life that he says you shouldn't believe all you hear. Okay, this is what he's telling his mom now. I've been told, actually, I've been warned, as his mother says, I've been warned by many people, and we have not lived here 3 months, but I know what there is to know, and you are not to go back there. You will never ever go back to Mr. Lamb's garden. What are you afraid of? What do you think he is? He's just an old man with a tin leg, and he lives in a large house without curtains, and he has a garden. And I want to be there, and I want to sit, and I want to listen to things. I want to listen and look. I want to look beyond my face now. I had restricted myself. I had restricted my entire world to my face. I have to move beyond that. I have to look beyond that, and I would be able to do that only with Mr. Lamb. I want to go back to him. Okay, so his mother says, listen to what? I want to listen to bees singing. I want to listen to him talking. And what has he got to say to you? Things that matter, things nobody else has ever said, things I want to think about. Okay, so he says there are a lot of things that matter in life which I had not focused on earlier, and I because nobody had ever said those things to me. So I want to have things, I want to hear things which I want to think about later. Then you stay here and you do your thinking. You are best off here. So this is what his mother says. You will stay here. You can do your thinking at home only. So you will not venture out. You will not go out. Especially, you will not move out into Mr. Lamb's place. And she says, I just hate it here. I don't want to stay at my home because I hate my place. I hate my home. You can't help the things you say. I forgive you. It is just because you are so much absorbed in your, Vishwajit has a question. He says, why does her mother think that Mr. Lamb is not a good person? Yes, we've just talked about it. Anybody with the answer? Why does his mother think that Mr. Lamb is not a good person? We've just talked about it. We've just read about it. Yes, Alam.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, she thinks like that because of the rumors she had heard. Because he is an old man who stays alone, so people sometimes make rumors just to spice up their boring lives. So rumors and beliefs.
Yes, and she has, because they have been into that house only for the last 3 months, and in those 3 months she had heard a lot about Mr. Lamb, and maybe there are rumors because he's living alone, and she had heard a lot, and that is why she just doesn't want her child to go up and meet Mr. Lamb, and she also believes those rumors. That is why. Okay, and she says it's got you can't help the things you say. I forgive you. It says, I forgive you. Why? Because these things are not in your control. Because you are depressed in your life because of your face, you keep on thinking about them, and that is why that these are the reasons what make you speak up such things. It is bound to make you feel bad. Okay, and he says that is why you say these things, and I don't blame you. I don't have anything against you, and I forgive you for this. It has got nothing. Underline this: the transformation, how he has transformed, how he has changed. He says it has got nothing to do with my face and what I look like. I don't care about that, and it isn't important. For the first time in his life, he says, "I my face is not important. It's what I think and what I feel and what I want to see and find out and hear. And I'm going back there only to help him with the crab apples. I'm going to go back. Nobody can stop me now from going back to Mr. Lamb, only to look at things and listen. But I am going. You will stop here. Oh no, I'm not going to stop here, because if I don't go back, then there I will never go anywhere in this world again. Just let me go to Mr. Lamb, because if I don't go there now, I will not. I will again be my original self, like I was earlier, and I will again be in a kind of a shell. I will never be able to come out of it. So please let me explore the world. Let me go to Mr. Lamb. And I want the world I wanted. I wanted. He just slams the door and he just runs off to Mr. Lamb's garden. And scene 3 is again in Mr. Lamb's garden. Yes. Let's continue. Scene 3.
Steady, that's got it. That's it. More apples fall, and again that's it. And a crash. The ladder falls back, Mr. Lamb with it. A thump. The branch swishes back, creaks, then silence. Derry opens the garden gate, still panting.
You see, I came back. You said I wouldn't, and they said, but I came back. I wanted. Mr. Lamb, Mister, you have Mr. Lamb. It's all right. You fell. I'm here, Mr. Lamb. It's all right. I came back, Lemmy Lamb. I did come back.
And he starts crying. So I think this is pretty clear to you. He goes back. He goes back to Mr. Lamb's garden. He's there, and while he's on his way, Mr. Lamb is up the ladder and he's trying to pick up the apples, and he's got some of the apples, and then during that process, he just falls off the ladder. The ladder falls back, and Mr. Lamb falls with the ladder, and there is a thumping sound. The branch on which from which he was picking up the apples, plucking the apples, it just swishes back, and then it creaks. Also, it also breaks. Then there's a silence, and the moment Derry comes into the garden, he is breathless. Why is he breathless? Because he came running into Mr. Lamb's garden. He was so much desperate to meet Mr. Lamb, to be with him, to talk to him, to listen to what he had to say to him. You see, and he says, I've come back. And he says, you had said that I wouldn't, and people had said that I wouldn't come back, but I am here. The moment he sees Mr. Lamb on the ground, and he initially he thinks that he's just fallen off, and he says, it's all right, you fell, but I am here. But when he realizes that Mr. Lamb is no more, he starts to weep. He starts crying. Okay, so this is the end of the play. Let's discuss some of the textbook questions and then extra questions. First of all, let's discuss your assignment. assignment that I've put up into your classroom app and your class groups also. The first question is, read out the first question. Yes, Gunur, you can go. You can leave. Yes, first question. Read out the first question and give the answer also. What is the first question? What qualities of Mr. Lamb attracted Derry to him? Hurry up. I want everybody to just raise your hands. I don't want just one or two students to be answering in the class. What qualities of Mr. Lamb attracted Derry to him? Abhay.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, first of all, Mr. Lamb was not scared of Derry's burnt face. He
Yes.
also wanted to talk to him, and moreover, Mr. Lamb was handicapped and alone. So was Derry. So he spoke in a very friendly manner to Derry, and he also inspired him to think positively.
Yes. He was the one who inspired him to think was in a positive way, to be optimistic in life, and he was the first person in his life to have done that. Okay, very good. Next question: did people give when they saw his acid burnt face? Yes, Vishwajit.
Derry's acid burn phase, ma'am, they always ran away from him. And ma'am, they never wanted to talk to him. And ma'am, moreover, ma'am, like when he one time he was once he was traveling in the bus, so there a lady was lady whispered to another lady, and but Derry heard that. She told the lady that
Just hold on, Vishwajit.
she have a
Hold on, Vishwajit. Question is, what consolation? Focus at what is written in the question. What do you mean by to console somebody? The question is not this. You're just thinking on something
okay,
else.
okay, sorry, ma'am.
Yes,
Consolation,
Pavandeep. Oh,
yes, ma'am, means
hold on. Let somebody else give the answer. Yes, Pavandeep.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes, you're very much audible, Pavandeep.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, people saw Derry's burnt face, and his ugly face had become fearful to look at. And
Yes.
the people did not discourage him, and rather they often asked him to look at those who are in pain but also brave. They are also brave, and they consoled him to think of them who never cried and complained, and though they are worse than him, and they
Yes.
called him better than blind, deaf, crazy, and crippled.
Yes, and he says that look at all the people. How do people console people like Derry, children like Derry, by saying by saying to such people that look at all those who are born deaf or blind or who are daft in their head or just scribble and things like that. And people say that there are so many other people who are worse off than you, but still they never cry and still they uh, uh, never cry or complain, and they always put up a brave face. Okay. What next question is, what did Derry's mother think of Mr. Lamb? Yes. What did Derry's mother think of Mr. Lamb? Yes, Vishwajit. What did Derry's mother think of Mr. Lamb? Apollo.
Acha. So, ma'am, yes. So, ma'am, Derry's mother think of Mr. Lamb that ma'am, she came at in the house means in his neighborhood, ma'am, from the ma'am only just 3 months ago, and ma'am 3 months before, and ma'am people basically talked a lot of there were a lot of rumors that people told her mother about Mr. Lamb, due to which she thought that he is not a good person, and Derry should stay away from him.
Yes, very good. So meeting is going to end in 2 minutes. We will not discuss any more questions in this meeting, but I'm going to send you another invite, and that would just take 15 to 20 minutes because we have to discuss only these questions plus one or two textbook questions. Okay, I want to finish off with this chapter today, and immediately after this, in your classrooms, I'm going to send you an invite. Okay, so please join whosoever is free and whosoever wants to discuss the question answers. Fine, I'm putting an end to this meeting, and I'll send you an invite in a moment.